Okay, let's try it again. See if we get any joy this time. So we'll have to wait to see if anybody joins in. Hopefully, a few people will see this live stream and jump in, because checking out with Riverside was painful. Anyway, so if anybody does join in, please do drop a comment. Let me know, can you hear, can you see, everything look okay, sound okay, all those usual kinds of things. That would be super, super useful. And if it is, well, we'll have a little chat and have a little AMA. Just because I've started it, I don't really want to just sort of start it and bugger off. Besides, I've got 20 minutes to have a little chat. So if you can see and you can hear, do let me know. Yeah, let me know. Let's see what's going on. Okay, we've got a few people popping in. If you could just drop a comment in the chat, just to let me know you can hear me, you can see me, everything looks okay, sounds okay. Oh, we got a thumbs up, that's good. Looks like I'm the only one. Well, not anymore else, there's more. Hey Max, how you doing? Darren, awesome, thank you very much for joining in. Like I say, don't know what's going on there. I'm trying out Riverside FM, and that was not a good experience. And so far, I'm glad I've only paid for a month, because if that's the best we're going to get, I'll probably pass. Hey Mark, how you doing, buddy? Eddie, good to see you in as well. Old Fat Trucker, how you doing? Shane, thanks for popping in. Like I said, it's only going to be a sort of like a quick sort of thing. I wanted to test that software out, but as it is, that's gone a little bit pear-shaped. So we'll just do a 20-minute live stream here, have a little bit of a chat, and yeah, then I'm not going to stop you from going over and having a chat with Mark on his live stream. So Mark, if you do get to see this later on, I do apologize for butting into your live stream time. But it's getting so saturated at the moment, it's very difficult to keep track of who's going live, when they're going live, what they're talking about, and everything else that goes with it. So there is that. Anyway, let's wait for a few more people to pop in. And as we've always done before, if you have any questions you want to ask me, just do hashtag Q4question. That would be super awesome. And that just makes my life a little easier. Then I can see exactly what's a question and what's just generally a comment. Ronald, good to see you in as well. Webby, thanks for popping in. Good to see you. Yeah, so if anybody doesn't know, and I know there's a few people in here, I'd say I know Mark knows about it, I know Els knows about it, and I know that Eddie knows about it, but I've opened up very recently WPTutsacademy.com, which for anybody that's wondering, there's two aspects to this. I'm not going to do this too much. I just want to sort of quickly say about this right at the beginning. Up until this point, all of my courses, whether they've been free or been paid, they've been up on a platform called Thrivecart with Learn Plus, which is their sort of like LMS platform. Recently, there's been some issues with that I haven't been particularly happy with, plus the fact that because I use Facebook as the community, there's a disconnection between the two sides of things. So I wanted to unify these. So I've opened up WPTutsacademy.com, where you can become a free member. There's no obligation to pay a single penny or cent or dime or anything else. You can sign up. You can get access to the free live streams, access to the free community, which is fundamentally the same kind of thing as you're going to see on Facebook, but we don't have that horrible experience of using Facebook. But also, there'll be free dedicated live streams that are specific inside that platform that won't be streamed on YouTube. But if you have already bought a course or you will buy a course in the future, you'll be all on the same platform. So it makes it a much nicer way of working. What's the matter with the sound this time, Els? Is it just you or anybody else? Does the sound okay, or does the sound being a bit of a pain? Shane, you don't have to pay for membership at all. You can join in for absolutely free. Like I say, all free courses will be available on there. So you don't have to pay a single penny for that. The chat, the Facebook, the sort of the chat group on it, don't pay a penny for that. The live chat, which is like a live chat thing where you can talk to other people, don't pay a penny for that. So don't feel like you can't join up. You can still get a ton of value out of it, even if you don't spend a single penny on it. So please do sign up, get involved in it. And I would rather see the community grow, and then the people that do want to support it in various different ways, like say buying courses, buying membership, whatever it is. There's a lot of great perks that you'll get out of it, but you don't have to. There's no obligation. There's still going to be plenty of content, plenty of information and things on there for anybody that comes in on the free tier. Don't worry about that. It's not going to suddenly be a case of you only get access if you pay. You don't. There's a ton of stuff on there and a ton of plans for the free, including some unique interviews and things like that with some different developers, people that are in agencies and things like that. There's quite a few different things that I want to get people involved in, and a lot of that will be absolutely free. I just want to make it somewhere where we can have a much more controlled, much more professional, clean, smooth experience for everybody, as opposed to the just disjointed connection that we have at the moment. We've got YouTube for one side of things, you've got Facebook for something else, you've got a course platform for something else, and things are just a little bit all over the place, and it just makes it a little bit more complicated and convoluted from my point of view, and also I think it adds a little level of confusion to other people. So if you do want to just take a look around, you want to sign up for the free, WPTutsacademy.com. Please do join up, because I'd love to see some of your faces around there. Okay. All Fat Tracker, is anyone still using Crocoblock? Well, the funny thing is, I've been polling my audience on the Circle community, that's the WPS Academy, on YouTube and on the Facebook group, and it's surprising that actually Crocoblock comes out second, only to ACF Pro. So yes, a lot of people are still using Crocoblock, and I will be doing some more coverage of that in the near future, because there are certain things in there that I think make developing inside of things a lot easier. Plus, I want to do some speed comparisons, because people always criticize Crocoblock, and I want to see how does it actually fare with an identical project between a Crocoblock JetEngine, for example, and using ACF or ACF Pro. I want to do a comparison there, so I think that would be something to be interesting, because a lot of people ask the same questions and comment a lot on, is it a resource hog, all these kinds of things. So yeah, right, I'm going to put this out there. So Jamie, I'll answer your question straight away. What are my thoughts on Etch? And this is going to be the only time I'll talk about it today, because I think there's more than enough conversations of this going around. Honestly, I don't know enough about it to make an informed decision. And based upon the information that I do have about it, it's still just a concept at this point in time. There's nothing out there to show you if it's viable, if it's working, all those kinds of things. So to be honest, until I can actually see something that's quantifiable and something that is going to give me a good idea of how viable what Etch is even going to be, I'll reserve judgment. But until then, there's more than enough conversations on this going on, and I don't really think I'm going to bring anything more to the table. So yeah, what do I think of it? At the moment, I don't know, because there's nothing really much to think about. It's literally an idea. So if you are getting in on that platform, or you are getting in on that idea, cool. It is a risk. You are sort of funding that sort of startup side of things. And I know there's a lot of talk about Kevin and his team, who they brought frames, and they brought out advanced CSS. But there's a massive difference, I think, between what my understanding of what they're proposing is and bringing something like that out. So yeah, there's a big, massive difference between what they brought out and what they're proposing to bring out. Plus, there's so many other things that I think of. But until, like I say, until we actually get some concrete proof of concept, working model, beta, alpha, whatever it is, I'll reserve judgment. Yeah, so that's what I'm going to say. Did I buy the Etch LTD? No, I did not. Like I say, at the moment, it is a concept, and I don't see anything more than that about it. So, hey. Anyway, what other questions do we have? Els, I'm all Crocoblock mainly because it has a lot more power in the query builder. Yep, there's a lot of really powerful things about JetEngine. And we say Crocoblock, let's be honest. I think most of us are talking about JetEngine and not the Crocoblock suite. So yes, there is a lot of things inside there that I think are incredibly powerful, that bring a lot to the table. But for me, like I said, one of the next things I want to do is do a comparative test between ACF, I'll do Pro because it's obviously you want those extra features, and JetEngine on exactly the same site. And we'll see, is there any viable difference between just a clean install where the plugins are installed, and then actually some template pages are being created inside Bricks, for example, and using Crocoblock on one example and using ACF on another. I think that'd be useful for people to sort of decide. Okay, where are the conversations? Everywhere on Facebook at the moment. I think every group I've gone into, Advanced Thema, they're on there, Bricks are on there, my group, they're on there. I think you can't go anywhere without there being something about it on there. So unless you're not using Facebook much, Max, I think You'll soon find out if you are using Facebook. What is Etch, by the way? It's a good question. Like I say, I didn't attend the live yesterday, so I'm only working on second-hand information. But from what my understanding is, it's a way of combining WordPress using core blocks as opposed to a page builder, alongside a lot of the tools that you would normally use, like a tool like ACF, like your SEO and so on, combining all that into one dedicated platform type thing. I don't really know. That's about all I know about it. Like I say, until we actually get a viable alpha release, or at least something we can see as opposed to just talk about it, I don't know. I have no idea. Eddie, I'd be interested in a plain Bricks course for beginners switching from Elementor without Figma involved. I think at the moment your Bricks course doesn't cover it. To be honest, Eddie, I think if you want a course that covers that, I would say Dave Foy's course is probably the best course out there, because it does exactly that. It covers switching from Elementor, so it is geared to people that are comfortable working inside the Elementor system, and then moving it over into Bricks and not using anything like Figma or any additional plugins. I think there's an extra module in there about using ACSS, but I don't think that's part of the core. Dave uses native Bricks for the entire thing. I know he's waiting to update the course for version 2 when Bricks 2.0 is released, but obviously with something like that, it's going to take several months once 2.0 is released before he's going to be able to put a course like that out, and it might roll out in pieces. But for me, it's one of those things that I'm friends with Dave Foy, and I would rather point people to what he's producing there, because his strength is in teaching those fundamental aspects. My strength, I would say, is more in teaching the more intermediate level or the more complicated topics and making those hopefully a little bit more understandable and a little bit easy to digest. So I would 100% recommend checking out Dave's course. If you go to davefoy.com, I think his course information is all on there. So check that out, because Dave's course is very, very highly regarded. And I don't really see the need for me to reinvent the wheel when Dave's done such an amazing job of it. So yeah, check out Dave's course, and then when you are ready to move on to this more intermediate level sort of things, I think that's where some of my courses, the things that I want to put together in the near future, that is where you're going to find the value for this. Okay, hopefully that answered your question anyway. Do you use Reloom, or have you tried it? I haven't tried it, Max. To be honest, there's so many different platforms and things out there that you've got to test them out in every single one. You can have the free account for these different things, but the reality is you're going to get a better experience with the paid accounts. But I do like what Reloom is kind of doing. So I talked about this a couple of weeks back in a different live stream, and I've got a video prepared for it that I haven't actually gone and put up yet, which is part of what I want to do on the channel is move outside of WordPress. That's not me leaving WordPress behind and not covering WordPress or moving away from it. My sort of focus is to take a look at what alternatives there are to WordPress from a WordPress user's point of view. Because I think there's value in that, because a lot of people that use WordPress now that maybe consider moving to things like Framer, for example, or Reloom, or take a look at like Squarespace or Wix, or Wix Studio more than Wix itself, or maybe even moving up to some of the more advanced tools that are out there, like Webflow. I think it would be useful to sort of take a look at that from someone that would be moving away from something like WordPress itself. So again, like I say, there is a plan to take a look at some of those. I've been speaking to Wix to take a look at certain parts of their studio platform, specifically the sort of dynamic data side of things alongside their AI functionality that's built into that. Because again, like I say, I think my audience, my skill set, the things that I find the most interesting, are those more sort of dynamic database driven, creating the more intermediate advanced sites. And exploring what things are out there for that side of things, the more sort of content management side, as opposed to specifically the design side of things or the fundamentals. Again, let me know. Do you think that's something that would be useful and interesting? For me, I've been inside WordPress. That sounds terrible. I've been working inside WordPress for so long now that I think, you become blind to a lot of the things that we take for granted when using it. But also, I think that a lot, if not most, of the innovation is taking place outside of what we are used to with WordPress. And I'm interested to explore what that actually has to offer. Like I say, I've got no intention of leaving WordPress or stopping what I'm doing and stopping creating what I'm doing. But I do also think that I want to explore some of these other things, these other areas, these other tools and the things that are out there. So yeah, keep an eye on the channel because I think that'll be interesting. Like I say, I will release that video in a little while because I think it would be useful. And yeah, I will be taking a look at some of those other options. Question: will Bricks Builder shut down once Etch is released? No, not at all. They're completely different tools. From my understanding, Etch is focused on building around WordPress core, as in the blocks, those kinds of things. The things that Gutenberg-centric, those types of areas. Again, I could be wrong, but that's what was kind of conveyed to me based upon the information that was put out in that sort of stream yesterday. So Bricks is perfectly safe. And if I'm honest about it, I don't see why, unless it's going to bring something amazing to the table, it's going to change the way that you work completely. I can't see why you would want to suddenly change from the tools that you're making money out of and you're building a business out of to change to something else, because then there's the learning experience, the cost investment. You've got to support multiple different platforms. Like when someone moves away from Elementor to move into something like Bricks or Breakdance or something like that, you've got to support your licenses from previous clients. If you have that as part of your maintenance package, you have to make sure that their sites are updated, which means you've got to keep up to speed with what's going on inside that particular builder, the software, security, all those kinds of things. And you're then learning another builder or another set of tools, and you're then taking new clients on there. And if you keep doing things like that, you're going to end up with a business that's very disjointed and disconnected, with lots of licenses going on, lots of things to keep maintained and so on. So do I think Bricks is going to be impacted by it? Yes, in a small way, because I think there are going to be certain people that are in the Bricks community and part of Bricks users because of what Kevin Geary has done and brought to the table, brought over from Oxygen, for example, brought on because of the things that he does. And when this Etch is released, which you've got to be honest, this is talking like a 2 to 3 year cycle before it's up to the point of where they're talking about the top tier version of this. So at least a year, 18 months, I think, before we're going to see anything, and probably longer before it becomes a fully viable alternative to some of the tools you're probably used to using right now. But yes, Bricks will take an impact from it. I think it's undoubted, without a doubt, it's going to take a little bit of an impact. Is it going to be a big impact? That'll have to be seen. But Bricks still is going to have another 18 months, 2 years, maybe another 3 years on top to continue establishing itself. It has a track record, whereas Etch is going to be something new to the table that doesn't have that track record. There's pros and cons, but I don't think it's going to have a massive impact, but it will have some negative impact on it. T20s. I think WP or WordPress will always suffer from tribalism. There are some great, easy-to-use options, but people may dog those options. Example, Elementor versus Bricks versus Breakdance. Frame and Webflow don't have that issue. No, they probably don't have, because I think it's such a... There's a different mindset to people, I think, that are outside something like the WordPress ecosystem, because that tribalism comes in where people buy into a particular product as part of WordPress. And then obviously you get overlap groups and things where, they're not talking specifically about that tool or tool set. They're talking about other things to do with WordPress, but those get brought into it. And then that tribalism starts to take effect. And yeah, it's one of the negative aspects, I think, of WordPress is that tribalism. And it's something that I've seen not just affecting the products and those groups, but also content creators get badmouthed, should we say, and put down because of the tools that they choose to use. And yes, there are better tools for various different jobs. But again, if we want to be real snobbish about a lot of these things, surely we should all learn HTML, JavaScript, PHP, and all those things and hand code everything. If you want to get down to the nitty-gritty of it. The fact that we are using tools like WordPress, like page builders, like Bricks, and so on, we're already making our lives easier by using these kinds of tools. So I would love to see this tribalism go out of the equation, but I really don't see that's going to happen. Eddie, I find Dave Foy's course high-priced. I don't know what the price of his course is at this point in time. To be honest, I have no idea. But the one thing I would say is the people that have bought into this, they have found incredible value in it. But like I say, I haven't bought it. I'm not an affiliate for it. I have no implications to talking about it. But I think Dave gives a 30-day money-back guarantee anyway. So even if you're not satisfied with what is on offer there, then you could still get your money back on it. You could piece together everything that's in anybody's courses, I think, by looking at, things that are online, YouTube videos and so on. But I think the benefit of having something like Dave's course or anybody else's course that are well structured and organized is that all that information is disseminated into one logical progressive route, which means that it's a lot easier then to be able to start at the beginning, work your way through it, go back to anything that didn't make any sense. And by the time you finished it, you've got that sort of starting point and you've got the outcome at the end of it, and all those stages in between make it a logical progression. Whereas, like I say, you could go online, you could do the same kind of thing on lots of different places, YouTube and so on. All that information is out there. But you then have piecemeal information. So you've got to get a piece from here, a piece from there. You might get conflicting ideas of how to approach the same thing. You know, there are benefits to having things like this, but I know the amount of time that I invest in creating these kinds of things. I know the amount of time that Dave and lots of other people that are in this space invest in creating these courses. And there are huge amounts of time investment involved in this. But I know that Dave also has parity pricing. So I don't know where you are in the world, Eddie, but it may be worthwhile looking to see if there's parity pricing available where you are that maybe changes the pricing structure of that. But there is a 30-day money-back guarantee on it if you're not happy. So there's always that. Oh, there's a good question. Where do you see WordPress in 5 years, builder-wise and market share-wise? Do you think more people will switch towards Squarespace, Webflow, etc.? Well, at the moment, there is a little sort of dip in the amount of people using WordPress. It is going down a little bit. But the one thing I think we have to take into consideration, and this is something that I know I watched a little bit of a live stream of Kevin's the other day, and he was on the same sort of live conversation thing with WordPress, the WordPress YouTuber thing that was done with Anne McCarthy a couple of weeks back. Unfortunately, I could only go on there for the sort of the first half an hour. But the one thing that really struck me was that the people that were involved, that were part of Automattic, which is the company behind WordPress itself, either didn't answer the questions that were being put out from people like myself, from Kevin and Mark and things like that. You kind of felt like you asked a question and you got an answer to a different question. But also they felt like there's a real deafness to what people like us were saying. Because I think there's a real lack of understanding, I think, from some of the people that I've met to do with Automattic, to do with WordPress, that if you kind of consider people like myself, people like Kevin Geary, people like Imran, you know, we are people that are talking to, you know, different people every single day through conversations online, through live streams. And all these people are WordPress users with a massive range of different skills and different approaches and different tool sets. And I kind of feel like that is not even heard. It feels like all there is this gung-ho attitude of WordPress is core WordPress with full site editing, with, you know, the blocks and all those kinds of things. And if you want anything more than that, well, you either get into JSON files and the API connection things, or, well, there is no or. And it kind of feels like they just don't listen. And this is one of the topics I want to talk about today, funnily enough, and maybe something I'll do in a bit of a live stream. Oh, I got a thumbs down. Obviously, we've got someone in from Automattic at the moment that doesn't like what I'm saying. So, well, not the end of the world. But it really does feel like there's a lack of listening to real people that are in this space every single day, in the trenches, as it were, creating content, listening to what people are saying, listening to the feedback. And I don't feel like Automattic is listening to that at all, because they're so gung-ho in their approach to what WordPress should be. And they keep talking about it being the blogging platform and those kinds of things. WordPress is not a blogging platform, not that we used to have years and years and years ago. WordPress is a CMS. And unfortunately, they're not embracing it as a CMS, a content management system. They still have this misguided concept, I think, of it being a blogging platform. And that's doing a disservice to the people that are building WordPress up. You know, let's be honest about it. I talked this in a video the other day. If it wasn't for page builders like Elementor, to a lesser extent, you know, your bricks, your breakdance, those kinds of things, WordPress would not be where it is now. Would it still be powering a massive percentage of the internet? Absolutely. It is so prevalent, and so many people and businesses they built their businesses around it. But I think we would see a much bigger percentage dip than we are right now. Fundamentally, because I do think that to a large extent, the ecosystem, the plugins, the themes, the page builders, the things that sit on top of core, you know, your GeneratePress, your Generate blocks, your GreenShift, those kinds of things, they are filling in the massive gaps that are in WordPress as it is at the moment. And we're 5 years into Gutenberg, and I think it's about 7 years since this was originally floated, and 3 years into full-site editing. And it still is not a good experience. You know, I released a video the other day about how it could be so much better. And I know people give pushback on, but this, you know, you've got to look at it. They're moving from this to this, and that means this is going to be slow. Slow. At this point, it's going to be 20 years before we start to see any real shift outside of the things that WordPress is pushing. And it's sad, because I love what WordPress offers us. The ability to be able to build businesses, to choose the tools you want to sit on top of it. But this kind of leads to the sort of whole thing. Is like, if that's the strength of WordPress, why are we being why has it pushed itself to being something that so many people don't want? And I do think that we would have a much bigger dip. So, sorry, to answer your question, where do I see WordPress in 5 years? Unless things improve, I see it taking a dip. Will it be a massive dip? Probably not, because it is so prevalent and so many businesses are built on top of it. It's the same argument you've got when it comes to changing your builders. Will Elementor be in 5 years' time? Probably. Will it be as big as it is now? I would hazard a guess no. In the same way that Visual Composer was massive because it was bundled with everything. And then when they changed their name and confusion set in for whatever the reasons were, now it's nowhere near what it was before. So everything will grow and everything will become a big, well, not everything, but, you know, things like this, they will grow and become bigger corporations, bigger names and so on. But I do think in 5 years' time, Elementor will not be what it is now, and I don't think it'll be anywhere near as prevalent as it is now. Anyway, afternoon, Artif. Good to see you in. Have I reviewed WS Form? No, I haven't, but I know a lot of people do rate it. So it's one of those things that I probably will have to take a look at it. But I don't use Forms plugins for anything more than pretty simple things, you know, maybe the odd questionnaire, things like that. So I use Fluent Forms, and I'm perfectly fine with that. But I know that a lot of people do swear by WS Forms, so maybe I do need to check that out. Anyway, can I do more tutorials on Breakdance? No. I've got my own reasons, but the main one is I don't really see what I'll bring to the table. There's already plenty of people covering it that are really passionate about that as a builder. I'm not passionate about it, so I don't think that I would bring any real value to it. In the same way that I really don't create much content on things like Elementor these days, because I'm not really that interested in that as a product. So I could have a lot more subscribers and a lot more views if I did stick to doing that, but it's no real interest to me. And I'm the same when it comes to Breakdance. I've got no real interest in it. So I think I would rather leave that to the people that are passionate about it, that enjoy doing it, and are creating great content already. Again, I don't see what more I would bring to the table that they're not already doing. Okay. Okay. Let me have a little look. Did you say Wix? I assume you mean Wix Studio or whatever it's called. I do mean Wix Studio, Mark. That's right. Not Wix that you're kind of thinking of, which is your Squarespace alternative. The Wix Studio is the one that actually is a lot more interesting for me. Yeah. Any hope for the UI for WordPress? At this point in time, I think probably from third-party companies that have a vested interest in making it better than what it currently is, which is a disjointed mess. Again, because full-site editing and Gutenberg and the core, whatever they call it these days, is the sort of central focus for this, until they can move over those other aspects that we're sort of used to inside the legacy side. We'll call it the legacy dashboard, which I don't know what sort of difficulty there would be to bring that over. But until we see something like that moving over, so everything is all built around the same architecture, I don't see there being much change and much move forward. Yeah, it's a shame, and I wish they would. But maybe this is where there's an opportunity for someone to come along and actually make a much better experience, because I think a lot of the plugins we've got out there right now, they only scratch the surface of what can be done, or in the case of something like UiPress, it's overly complicated to do what you want to do. I mean, I looked at that when it first came out, UiPress 3, and I found it painfully slow to work with, quite clunky, and really complicated and convoluted to get things done. I don't know if they've improved upon that. Hopefully they have. But yeah, I think until something else comes along, we do need to sort of consider the fact this is going to be the long haul before there's going to be any changes. Mark, we'll be interested in seeing you do a side-by-side build for something like that. I'm assuming you're talking about the JetEngine versus the, what do you call it, ACF Pro. It is something I think would be useful because I think a lot of people would be interested in finding out, is what's being said about JetEngine something to worry about? Or is it something that's kind of like it's blown out of proportion when it comes to working with that tool set? Like I say, I don't really use the rest of the Crocoblock suite other than maybe the filtering and the search. That would be about it. Okay, let's have a couple more questions. Yeah, Els, I agree. Bricks will grow from here to I am sure. I don't see Bricks going anywhere anytime soon because Bricks is, at the moment, that's the only platform that I would say, other than Oxygen and whatever you kind of think about Oxygen. I think Oxygen is on the decline, not the rise. We know that Bricks is probably the most powerful builder when it comes to that way of working, not dealing with the core blocks and things. It writes some of the cleanest code you can get out there, and it has the best work process dealing with classes and class first system, things like that. I know from me, when I moved over to it, going back to any other tool that doesn't use that kind of feels really slow and painful and really difficult to do what I would now consider to be really simple things. But yeah. Wish WordPress users would be more unified. Absolutely. I wish WordPress would be more unified. Okay, if you're enjoying this live stream, please do give it a thumbs up and tell YouTube that you enjoy this kind of thing. I know it's a last minute live, and I'm just going through some of the questions you've got that you want me to answer, but I always enjoy doing this kind of thing. So I think there's a lot of fun just answering questions and talking about stuff that you're interested in. Okay. Leonardo, I don't think WordPress, the future of WordPress isn't that disruptive, maybe boring and innovative. By the way, thinking to switch to some kind of Etch thing? Nah, I don't know. Etch will be some kind of hype, probably. Until we actually see something, who the hell knows? I don't think that many people are that much the wiser about what it actually is and what it's going to do. So I think, like I say, until we see a proof of concept, something actually working to get us to see what's going on, yeah, I'll just keep my judgment close to my chest and just see where we go from there. Okay, let's have a little look. Do you think the Bricks team needs to do a lot more in terms of YouTube and social media in general? Seems like they rely completely on third parties to do their marketing and getting the word out. I think they could do a lot more to improve things. I mean, there's one thing I will say, we've got to give credit to someone like Kevin Geary for his products and how he's an incredibly good marketer and promoter, and a lot of that is done through his educational content. And I think he's on the right track there, and that's why he's built his tribe up so much. And I do think that not just Bricks, but I think any platform that's out there, especially when you get something that's even remotely more complicated than a simple plugin that's like just drag and drop for everything, education is massive. And I think Bricks has been incredibly lucky, or fortunate, I should say, not lucky, fortunate, to have some of the people that are involved in showing how to use it with best practices, how to start getting the most out of it. Without that, and this goes for any builder, I think this is exactly the same to what happened when Elementor first launched, and I've said about this again in the past. It's the people that create educational content for absolutely no money, because if you think about it, Elementor has an affiliate scheme. We'll say no more about that. Bricks does not. So anybody that's creating content in Bricks, and to be honest, the entire ecosystem around Bricks is pretty much affiliate free. In other words, there are pretty much no affiliate schemes with most of the products that are out there for Bricks. So going from something like, let's just say, core WordPress to moving over to something like Elementor, for example, where the ecosystem there, pretty much every company there that has a product for Elementor has an affiliate scheme, and most of those are like 20 to 50% of the sale cost. So once you move over to creating content for Bricks, that side of things, there is not many avenues for income from, we say, passive income, shall we say. So they've been very, very lucky at the number of people that are creating content and continue to create content, and a lot of really good content that helps demonstrate how the platform works, show people that are maybe interested in it but don't know if it's for them, or transitioning from something like Elementor, Divi, or any other kind of tool over to Bricks. It's made that so much easier that without those people, those content creators creating those kinds of things, I think you probably find a lot of these tools would not have as many users as they do right now. So I do agree that there would be a massive benefit from having some kind of resources available to educate when it comes to bricks. Whether that's something they pay for, whether they put an academy together, I don't know. I don't know what it entails, what it looks like. But it would definitely be a good idea. But it would be something that would have to be updated on a regular basis because so many new features come out on such a regular basis. Yeah. Ground Pets. If you make a course, do you have by law to give money back with a minimum amount of days? No, you don't. No, you don't. Well, you don't in the UK anyway. Offering a money back guarantee, from my understanding, like I say, in the UK, is something that I know that I've done. On low ticket items, I don't do it because it's not worth it, especially if you offer parity pricing, because someone could be paying like $10, $15 for something, or and the full price is like $70. On that front, no, I don't offer the 30-day money-back guarantee. But on the courses that are higher ticket items, then yes, absolutely, because you want people to feel comfortable. The thing that you put in there, you'll generally put a clause in, and you take a look at Dave's clauses, and you take a look at my clause, and you take a look at most people's clause. They will say there's always a clause in there that says that it's at our discretion. So basically, the last thing you want is to take a look at someone, they say, oh, I want my money back. I didn't like the course. It wasn't what I wanted. Well, if someone's gone in there and watched like a 7-hour course, and then they've decided this isn't what they wanted, they could have made that decision in the first 2 hours. So you do have to question them, and they've just taken the mickey. They've watched the course, got what they wanted out of it, and then they are just saying, I just want my money back. And then it's down to the discretion of the individual. I know Dave, I know myself, most of the time it's a case of have your money back. I would rather not have someone being vocal about the fact that they didn't get their money back, even though they're the ones that probably took the pee out of what they were doing, than fight over, a couple of $100 kind of thing, if that makes sense. But no, I don't believe there's a legal obligation, especially in the UK, to have a money-back guarantee. It's more a case of giving people peace of mind, knowing that if it's not for them and they've invested a couple of $100 into it, which could be a massive amount of money for them, they can get their money back if they're not happy. But like I say, there's usually a clause in there that says it is under our discretion. There's got to be some kind of flexibility in there. Mark, do you think the steady improvements in AI will replace the need for courses? At this point in time, no, I don't. Because I think courses, as I said earlier on to Eddie's question, AI is great, but AI is not a replacement for the understanding of how education works and how to deliver that content. No matter how good AI is, and it will get better, we know it will get better, but I think people buy from people. And I know from my experience, any courses that I put out there, people have bought those courses because I'm the one that's delivering it, I'm the one that's created it, and they've seen enough of my free content to feel confident that they'll get what they expect out of that course. When it comes to AI, well, no one knows what that AI is. They're not going to have kind of any kind of rapport with that individual because it doesn't exist. So do I think it'll replace it? No. Do I think it'll have an impact upon it? Yes, to a certain extent, because I think AI is going to have an impact on everything that we do. When you're looking for information, I can imagine, knowing you, Mark, knowing Imran, and knowing myself, a lot of the time you'll actually go to AI to find out information as opposed to going to Google, because now Google is becoming a bit of a shit search engine. Actually, most of the search engines are not the best these days. And because they're being totally overridden by ads, AI content themselves. So I would rather use something like Perplexity to ask questions, which actually gives me the sources so I can check to make sure that is factual, so I can fact check it myself. I don't see it's going to take over. I think it will make an impact in all different areas of our lives. Like I say, searching, education, those kinds of things. But there's more to it than just the raw knowledge, the raw information. Some people only want that, but a lot of people want something that's delivered in a way that they find comforting, understandable. It's delivered in a manner that makes it easy to digest. AI is not something that at this point in time can deliver that in the same way that a human being can. And I can't see for quite some time that will be the case. It's more to it than just the raw information. That's what I think anyway. BJ, I have an idea. Why not all the WP content creators come close and create a document to submit to WordPress core team about what's needed and what's bad? Hopefully they will listen that way. That's an interesting idea. Do I think they would listen? I would like to think that it would be nice if they did. My gut feeling is that they wouldn't, because they seem to be so hell-bent on the direction that they want to go in. And like I say, after having that call with Anne and a couple of other people from Automatic itself, which, like I say, if you want, give me a second, I will. Do I have that information? I think I've shut it down now. If anybody's interested, leave a comment on the video afterwards, and I'll put a link up to that. But you can do a look. I think it's, if you just search like for Anne McCarthy YouTubers or content creators, I think something like that. It's a video from a couple of weeks back. So I'm on there for the first 30 minutes, but then I had to go, unfortunately. But that'll give you an idea and see if you could come to the same summation as me, which is, it didn't feel like, it just felt like, you know, when you go somewhere and someone nods at the right time when you're talking, and they sort of right concerned faces, and they smile at the right times, and they frown at the right times. It all kind of felt a little bit like that while they were actually answering answers to a question that we hadn't actually asked. It was just, I came away from it after the first 30 minutes, and I went back and watched the other half of it that I wasn't involved in. And I just sat there just shaking my head thinking, this was pointless. It was an hour, an hour of some people's lives, half an hour of my life that I didn't really feel like made any difference, made any impact. And I didn't get any sense that this would go any further than just a conversation, which is just, we're all just paying lip service. I hope I'm wrong, but that's kind of what it felt like. Yeah. I went to a WordPress meetup recently and encountered some hostility when I mentioned I use bricks, not Gutenberg. How would you deal with this? How would I deal with it? I think I would just probably laugh, if I'm honest about it, because again, this just immediately, I wasn't there, so I don't know what this is like, but I think it just kind of goes to show the tribalism that's involved in WordPress at large. I don't get it. I really don't get it. It's super frustrating, because if they were listening to what a massive portion of the WordPress user base, especially the people that are making money at this, you've got to think there are a lot of people out there that if they weren't agencies and freelancers and companies building websites using WordPress for paying clients, excuse me, there would again be a lot less websites out there using WordPress. So these are not people that are just fly by nights and just having a little play about with the blog. These are people that are seriously invested in this platform, making money, and it kind of feels a little bit like they don't care. We're like the sort of the unloved stepchild that are not being seen, even though a lot of us have the loudest voices. It kind of just befuddles me. Like I say, and like Sinan says by here, they don't see it as a CMS. WordPress is now more CMS than blog. Simple fact. When was the last time you thought, I'm going to go and build a WordPress blog? Or did you think, I'm going to go build a WordPress website and I'm probably going to use a page builder? I'm going to use advanced custom fields, I want custom post types and options pages and all those kinds of things. Well, why are these things not being embraced? I understand, again, going back to that conversation with Anne and some of the other people, I understand part of what they're saying where they don't want to put certain things into core because they feel like there are plugin companies out there that are doing that, and maybe they don't want to step on toes, or they feel like that's a better way of doing it. But if you're a CMS, then surely things like custom post types and things like that, even if it's just fundamental simple basics, to be able to create custom post types and taxonomies and just have some basic data in there, without some of those more advanced things, that should have been something that was brought to the table many, many years ago when it stopped being a blog and it became more of a content management system. Think how long it is since Elementor has been going, and when they brought out version 2 with all the dynamic content in there. Or ACF, right back in the days where Elliot was the only developer behind it. It was all about extending what you could do with WordPress to make it more than a blogging platform. So it's kind of frustrating. It's one of those things that you want this to become so much bigger, so much better, so much more of a well-rounded product. But they seem so hell-bent on, we won't look over there, we're going that way, and sort everybody around us. If you don't like it, we don't care, we're just going to not really listen to you. And that's really frustrating. Anyway, yeah. yeah, pretty much, Danielle. It sounds like they're listening in order to say, oh yeah, we're totally in touch with our users, we're here for them. Yeah, and then going and doing exactly what they want for themselves afterwards. I know we have no financial interest or financial say in what goes on with WordPress, but that shouldn't matter. You know, I'm sure most of us would say, if they said, if you want to use this commercially, you've got to pay $20 per site, you know, a nominal amount to WordPress, not WordPress.com, but WordPress.org. Most people that are making money would go, yeah, fine, no problem at all. I've got a paying client, $20, no problem, have the $20. Put that into the system, help it push forward in the direction that makes sense. But that isn't the case. So we have no real say. And again, I think until a potential viable alternative, which I don't see happening anytime soon, comes along and starts to gnaw away at their market share, I don't think it's going to make a massive difference. So it's kind of sad. Yeah, 9 years since Matt first mentioned it, and probably 6 years since most people were saying we don't bloody want it. Anyway, Diego, do you know any other open source CMS that integrated custom fields and has a page builders like in WordPress? I don't. But I would love to. I mean, if anybody does, and I'm not talking about ones yet, we're talking like on the sort of same vein as something like WordPress, not something that you have to get in and start coding your own themes and things. That kind of makes it a different thing altogether. But if anybody knows, whether you're watching now or whether you're watching on the sort of the catch up with the live stream, drop a comment. Let me know. Drop some sort of like names in there so I can take a look at. Because again, like I say, not just looking outside WordPress to SaaS applications like, you know, your Wix Studios and so on, but looking at other self-hosted platforms that could be viable alternatives for a lot of use cases would be an interesting exercise for me. So, you know, please do let me know if you've come across anything or you would recommend anything. Please don't say things like Joomla or Drupal. I'd have hated them when I tried them. Okay, what's the time? I'm going to say I'm going to give it about another 5-10 minutes and then I'm going to wrap things up. But we've got over 100 people in here and we've got 41 thumbs up. Come on, guys. Let's have a thumbs up. Let's tell YouTube you enjoy having a conversation. Because it does help. Have you ever thought about Elementor building their very own CMS instead of using WordPress and switching to a more Webflow, Squarespace business model? I have, and I would say I would prefer that if they did that as opposed to what they're doing now, which is building on top of WordPress. I've said this quite a few times actually in different live streams and so on. I prefer the way Brizy has approached this with their Brizy Cloud, because you've got Brizy the plugin, which sits on top of WordPress, so you can use it in the WordPressy way. And you've got Brizy Cloud, which is fundamentally, say, like 95% of the Brizy editor experience you get in the WordPress plugin, but in its own cloud platform. It's not perfect. There are still, you know, things that I would like to see different in there. But moving that reliance away from WordPress was the right thing that they did. And I think Elementor made a fundamental mistake by building their cloud platform, or their hosted platform, I should say, and all the other things on top of WordPress, and then basically restricting some of the things you can do with the plugins and things and themes and stuff like that. So that would have made more sense. Do I see them compete with something like Squarespace or the Webflow business model? Not Webflow, I don't see, because Webflow, I think, is more akin to what you can do in Bricks. You need to have more of a developer-focused brain and workflow. Whereas Elementor, I think, is very much going more down the you click this to add this kind of model. Yeah, but it would be interesting if they did, but I'm pretty sure that's not where they're going to go. Not anytime soon. Unless something fundamentally changes in WordPress. Like, for example, that tomorrow automatic say, right, from now on, page builders, nope, they're not going to work inside here anymore. Then they'd have no alternative but to look at something like forking WordPress core and then doing something from there. But even that would have probably made more sense if they'd just forked WordPress and just had their own vanilla version of WordPress that was geared towards stripping out the things they don't want and don't need and having it centralized and focused around specifically Elementor and their preferred plugins and tools of choice. That would have been interesting. Okay. What else do we have? Are we talking about... That was always said, the wood, deep grey look. Are you talking about my office, T20s? If you are, thank you very much. Funny enough, it's not an office, it's my garage, which I had converted 3 years ago, I think it was. Yeah, this set by here, there's another set by there, which is the one that you would have seen before with the 3 Star Wars prints. That's there. And I'm thinking about what I can do on that side of things. I'm also thinking what I can do to change the Star Wars print side and have a new set there, because you get bored of the same thing. But yeah, thank you very much if you talk about mine. If not, I'm sure theirs was lovely too. Okay. Marcus, not a problem at all if you're late to the party. What have we got? How come suddenly there are so many WordPress and the future topics everywhere? Probably because so many people in the WordPress ecosystem are sick to death of it going in a direction they don't give a damn about. That's probably why, more than likely. Because when I would say probably 1 in every 5 comments is for Gutenberg in the direction of full-site editing and so on, and then the rest are, I never touch it. I never go in there. I use my page builder to do this. I think that's the thing. Customized far better than full-site editing. I don't think either of them are particularly a good experience, but I think if you're using a traditional theme, whatever the hell they call that these days, Customizer is better than full-site editing. Full-site editing it just doesn't feel very polished. It looks okay in certain respects, but when you start using it, once you get past the sort of understanding how it all works, that's pretty cool, but you're okay with it then, and it becomes just another tool. I just don't think it was implemented very well. A lot of people have said that Gutenberg should have been Gutenberg full-site editor, all that sort of things. That should have been its own plugin, and I agree, that would have been a much better way. Keep WordPress as it was, so you can use it as a CMS platform and put the tools that you want on top of it. And if you want to plug in Gutenberg, you can plug in Gutenberg and you can use that way of working. Sure, they could have figured out how to do that. I mean, at the end of the day, Gutenberg, there's a plugin available for Gutenberg anyway, which is more advanced than you're seeing with, what you install in the latest version of WordPress anyway. Okay, Mark, sorry. Wix Studio versus Bricks. Interesting. I'll have to take a look. What's being said about JetEngine? Case that we all hate it and we think whatever idea you come up with it, you are absolutely wrong. I'm just joking. We were talking about, I want to do a comparison between ACF with exactly the same build with JetEngine and see what the differences are, with part to do with the process of actually setting everything up, because there are certain things about JetEngine that I think are way, way better than what you can do inside ACF and ACF Pro, where you have to custom code various different features and functions. I released a video the other day about how you can format numeric information and how you've got to create a function or a couple of functions to get that to work. Whereas inside JetEngine, you literally go and just choose 2 options and you can format tons of data, not just numbers, but tons of data in a matter of seconds. That is much cooler. So it was cool to see that. Anyway, okay, I'm going to say one more question. I'm going to take a look if there's any more here, and then I'm going to call it a day. Okay, let's have a little look-see. And while I'm looking through for another question, hit that thumbs up. Go on, you want to. Right. Come on, there's going to be a question here somewhere. Crackling sound again. I think, Els, you need to just sort of get some new speakers, I think. I think it's just obviously you. Will we ever revert back to using raw HTML rather than WP and once chosen WordPress builder, or are those days way behind us? I think for the most case, those days are probably behind us, for most people anyway. Yeah, I think so. Question for Imran. Web Squadron. Was sad there's no WordCamp UK. Feel the same. What do you think? I do find it kind of weird why there is no WordCamp UK. I mean, there's WordCamps every blinking way, but nothing in the UK. No, I'm not going to set one up. I have no interest in doing something like that at all. But it is kind of weird why there isn't one set up in the UK. But I've never been to one, and if I'm honest, I don't know if I would want to attend one, even if there was one in the UK. I was asked to go. I've been asked to go to a couple. I've even been offered to sort of fund me to go to different ones. But I'd be curious to actually what I would get out of it, other than a 3-day paid jolly to another country, which would be nice. Don't get me wrong. But I would question what you'd actually get out of it, because again, most of it seems to be so geared and focused around WordPress core, full site editing, all those kinds of things. I have no interest in it. So I don't know. I don't know what you get out of it. David, I'm assuming you're referring to the one with Anne McCarthy and myself and several other people like Mark Zamansky and Kevin Geary and so on. Yeah, I agree. It kind of felt like a complete waste of time. I will 100% agree with you. Also say, yep, CPT should be core stuff. I agree. CPT should be part of core. Like I say, any CMS. Could you imagine if a CMS came out now? Excuse me. A CMS came out that didn't really have many CMS functions. It would probably just wouldn't get any traction. It would just fizzle out and die. And you kind of think, well, the reason WordPress hasn't done that is because it is so ingrained in how everything works these days and how, there's so many websites built on top of it. But it doesn't make it the best platform. It just makes it the most prevalent platform with the biggest ecosystem around it, which is sad. Like I say, there's so many things that it could be so much better. Sorry, Phil. I do apologize. I should have let you know. Didn't you get the memo? I did send you it. It was done by fax, though, unfortunately. So maybe you didn't get the fax. Maybe your fax machine wasn't turned on. Sorry, Phil. Just joking. I will actually, say when I'm doing a live stream next time as opposed to just randomly turn up in an afternoon. So I do apologize, but that's all fun, isn't it? It's raining outside anyway, and I'm sick to death of trying to get all the water off the top of my bloody garden furniture. Anyway. Okay. Sam, good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Check out Sam's channel. Very, very good channel, especially if you're into Webflow, and there's some Bricks content on there as well. Still very new, Web Studio. I'll have to take a look at that, see what it's like. Thanks, Sam. I'll have a little look. Yeah. Is this disconnection between WordPress core leadership and us WordPress users a new thing, or has it always been this way? I think it's probably always been this way, but I think it's become more prevalent over the last couple of years where, especially since I think Gutenberg was released, where probably most people that first saw it, if not almost everybody, didn't understand why they were bothering. We had so many solid page builders that were doing a great job on top of what WordPress offered. I think a lot of people would have preferred WordPress to have concentrated on fleshing out that CMS aspect and letting the page builders do what they were good at, which is building good designs on top of the core WordPress CMS. So I think it's been there for many, many years. I just think when Gutenberg was released, that's where it kind of elevated and became more so. Okay, I'm not going to go back over the Etch thing because I've already talked about that one at the beginning. Studio tour. There's not much of a studio tour, to be honest, Again, if enough people are interested in starting the garage, if enough people are interested in finding out what tech I use and everything, by all means do let me know. But I am waiting for like the new range of Apple products to come out, the new M4 stuff, because I think I've got an itch to upgrade a few things, so let's hope they come out soon. Anyway, Thomas, it'd be lovely to think if a huge star does come out this garage, but I think it'll be a little tiny star that'll just fizzle out at some point. But thank you for the kind words anyway. Afternoon, John. Good to see you. Right. I'm going to wrap things up there unless I've got anything that I think there's any... Hey, Matt, how you doing? Have you any thoughts on the 2025 theme? No, I did start to watch your video the other day, Matt, but I didn't get to finish it because I had to go out. So you let me know what your thoughts are on it. I've never really paid any attention to the native, to your 2020, your 2021, 3, 4, 5, 10, whatever it is. I've never really paid a huge amount of attention to them because I don't use Gutenberg and core functionality. I don't really have a need for that type of theme. So yeah, I've never really paid that much attention. So anyway, but thank you. Okay, I'm going to bypass the 400 Etch questions. Right, I'm going to answer Elle's question because I know you've answered that a couple of times. So Elle, this is my question. I would like to see some more complex things with ACF. Athema is built with it. Amazes me. How? Well, funny you should say that. Maybe this is one of those things that I'm talking to Maxim. I could not think of it. Total mind blank there. Talking to Maxim the other day about coming on to one of my lives again. And maybe this is a topic that we can sort of have maybe a little bit more of a deep dive into how he's gone about using a tool like ACF to be able to build something like Advanced Thema. And there's also some other plugins and things. I mean, if you consider Ultimate Dashboard Pro, I think that David Vongries has created, pretty sure that's also built using ACF. So it would be interesting to see how they're using things like that to create these sort of more back-end function kind of tools. So yeah, if that's something that's interesting, if more people want to know about something like that, let me know. Let me know in the chat. Let me know on the WPS Academy if you want to hop over there at any point. And we'll have a word with Maxim and see if he's interested in sort of sharing how he would go about something like this and how you would actually start creating something like that. I'm assuming it's to do with either he's coded it in there or there's something to do with the way options pages work and how you can use that to integrate with the back end and then grabbing all that variable data and pulling that in various different ways. I don't know. But Els, good question and something I think will be worth having a chat about. Anyway, I'm going to wrap things up there. If you are interested, please do go and check out WPTutsacademy.com. Totally free to join. If you've already bought courses off me, you can have access to them in there as well, alongside the support side of things. But even the free option will give you access to the community chat, the community group, free courses, free live streams, all those kinds of good things. Please do pop over, check it out, sign up, no obligation, and get involved and become part of that community because there's going to be live streams and various different things on there that won't be anywhere else at all. Phil, drop me a message. I need to speak to you about that so you can give me an update on what's going on. But anyway, thank you very much for joining me this afternoon. On your way out, before the door hits you on the butt, give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed the live stream. I will be back on doing a live stream, hopefully sooner rather than later. And the end of the month, we will have our next sort of content creators live stream with myself, Jeffrey, and crew. So keep an eye out for that. Anyway, have a fantastic day wherever you are in the world. Look after yourselves, and I will see you all very, very soon. Take care.